Hello there! So if you're active in the crypto space, then you have heard about NFTs before, but you might not be sure what they are. Or even if you've never heard of them, today I'm gonna teach you about non-fungible tokens. So at the end of this video, you will know what NFTs are and why they are a big deal. Let's get started. NFT stands for non-fungible tokens. Fungible, what does that mean? Let's have a look at what fungible means. Hey Google, give me a definition of fungible.
This is the definition of fungible. Replaceable by another identical item, mutually interchangeable.
So, replaceable by another identical item, mutually interchangeable. That's the definition. So basically, it's a thing that can be replaced with another thing. One example. Where's my money? This 100 euro bill. If I borrow this 100 euro bill to you, I will want it back. But I don't care which 100 euro bill you give back to me, or if it's two 50 euro bills or 520 euro, I don't care. If you put it on my bank account, if you give it to me in coins, okay, I might care about that because that's quite a bag of coins. Anyhow, I do not care about that number on there. This doesn't mean anything. Euros are fungible. They are mutually interchangeable. However, if we're talking about a rare coin, like a collectible that only exists so many times in the world, then I won't be happy if I don't get that exact thing back. In the normal world, let's say most of the things are non-fungible. If I were to lend you my car, chances are I want the car back that I lent to you. So this is not fungible, this is non-fungible. Anything that exists only once is also non-fungible. In the digital world, however, things are usually fungible. Just think of anything that you have on your hard drive. Pictures, videos, any sort of file. All of that can just be copied and pasted, and then you have an identical clone. And you can do that as many times as you like. You can create infinite copies of digital goods. So if I were to take a selfie and I would send that to a friend, then my friend has it as well. And if I accidentally delete that picture, but I send it to a friend, I can ask my friend, hey, can you send it back? And I have it back because it is replaceable. It is fungible. So now that we have an idea of what fungible means, non-fungible is, of course, the opposite. It is not replaceable. There is only one such thing. So to finish off our definition, we need to have a look at what tokens are.
A thing serving as a visible or tangible representation of a fact, quality, feeling, etc.
Okay, more specifically in the digital world, a digital token is basically a unit of cryptographic information that resides on a blockchain. Maybe let's make it more specific so that you know what I'm talking about. Example, Bitcoin. I think you've heard of that. Those are tokens. But they are fungible tokens because each Bitcoin is the same as every other of the 21 million Bitcoin. And then each Bitcoin is again 100 million Satoshis that are once again all interchangeable with each other. They're all the same. Satoshis are fungible. Bitcoin is fungible. The Ethereum token, fungible. All of those are fungible tokens. Now I've mentioned that in the digital world, most everything is fungible. But there have always been assets, also in the digital world, that are non-fungible. Just think of things that only exist once, like your email address. Your email address is a non-fungible asset because it can exist only once. There can only be one owner for that email address. Or domain names. I mean, people pay a lot of money for certain domain names, so that is an asset. And it's a digital asset, and that's non-fungible. Or my YouTube username, the URL in my YouTube thing, that's non-fungible because it can exist only once. It can only link to one page. Now you might say that this is my link, but really it's YouTube's thing to decide to do whatever. If they want to give that to someone else, they can. Now with non-fungible tokens, however, you get ownership. You can own those tokens, right? Because they are on the blockchain, and as long as you hold the private key that corresponds to that address, you own the tokens. It's the same with Bitcoin, you know, as long as you're in possession of the private key, you own the coins. So NFTs allow for ownership of digital assets. Remember that? That's important. Children. Properties of non-fungible tokens include that they are unique. One thing is only represented by one token. They are usually rare. There are only that many of one particular kind. And they're also indivisible. Bitcoin is divisible because if you have one Bitcoin, you can divide it into 100 million Satoshis. But with NFTs, no dividing them. One token is one token. Where do those NFTs exist? NFTs can come in several shapes and sizes. The most popular is the ERC 721 on the Ethereum blockchain. Then there's also the ERC 1155, which basically combine fungible and non-fungible token and allow for bundling, also on the Ethereum blockchain. And there are also other standards on other blockchains that support NFTs. Polkadot, for instance, has NFTs, our Chainlink. But I don't even want to go into too much detail here, as this is just an introduction. I just want you to have heard of that, such that if you see it somewhere, then you know what it is. NFTs. You should have heard of them by now, because they are a big thing. NFTs, I tell you, part of the future, also part of the present, also part of the past. But can I make my video, please? Thank you. Much more importantly, let's discuss what NFTs are actually good for, what they are used for. Now, with their properties of being unique and non-divisible, and also rare, they make for a good candidate for representing collectibles. And collectibles can come in many forms. There are many things you can collect. And often there are games developed around collectibles, or the other way around. Collectibles exist in games. It works either way. So collectibles and games are usually, they're tight. And I'm pretty sure you can name some games where you can buy some special things, such as skins or special weapons. But usually you cannot trade with those, because those games are centralized. They might not want you to trade with that stuff. But if your game uses NFTs, then users can trade because they own it. They have the ownership of this digital item. And that's why many decentralized games use NFTs for representing their in-game assets. Decentralized apps, so-called DApps. And when your game uses NFTs, then you own them and you can sell them or trade them for other stuff, like fungible tokens. So there's a whole market for collectibles. Like the most notable of that, like the first big one, was CryptoKitties. Just a digital representation of a cat that can breed with other cats. You can trade your cats and then you can breed them, and it was a whole game, and there was a whole hype around that in 2017, 2018. And this thing still exists and people still trade with CryptoKitties. In fact, as soon as I heard about it, I wanted to have one myself, because I'm just a sucker like that. So you can just go there and you can buy a CryptoKitty. And now I own a CryptoKitty. Granted, it's just a digital thing. There's no real value here, but stuff only has that much value as people give it, right? I don't want to explain economics to you. I'm just here to explain NFTs. Okay, moving on. Then there are those games that basically have a virtual world, like Crypto Voxels or Decentraland, where you can then buy land in-game or special items. Or another classic collectible, cards. Magic, Pokemon cards. People love to collect that stuff. And now in the digital world, there are games like Gods Unchained that have NFTs representing cards. So a lot of games are already using NFTs, and I think it's just gonna be more and more game developers who get into that and will sell their digital in-game assets using NFTs. So we got the games. Now, other stuff that people like to collect is art. That's why art galleries are a thing. You know, there are those people who want to own a certain piece of art. And in the digital world, this has become difficult, because as I said in the beginning, you can't just replicate it digitally. That's way too easy. But not if we are talking about NFTs. Because if your art piece is represented by a non-fungible token, then this token only exists once, and whoever owns it owns the art piece. And that's how you can sell digital art or real art, because you can represent a real world asset with an NFT, and then we can go beyond art. We can make anything an NFT. And if you have something valuable, you make it an NFT or several. An NFT can also represent a part of something in real life. You can then use those NFTs as collateral for getting a loan, for instance, because the real world asset has some value, and if you own the NFTs, you own the thing, and then you can loan against it without needing the third party that you trust to issue the loan. Decentralized finance, man. Basically, NFTs can represent anything you want. Like we were talking about domain names. Domain names can also be represented by NFTs. For instance, the .eth or the .crypto, they're represented by NFTs. If Andy.eth would still be available, I would have already bought it. And if I own that domain name, then you can send ETH to that address and I will receive it. So if you want to send me some money, don't. Never send random strangers on the internet any money, whatever it is they tell you. Don't send them any money, don't. Whatever they promise you, don't. I don't promise anything, and still you shouldn't send me anything. Where were we? Yeah, domain names. What else? Event tickets. You can sell tickets to an event using NFTs. Did you ever wonder why when you buy a ticket online you have to enter your name and address and everything, but when you go to the store and buy a ticket you just get it like that without the name printed on it? That's because a digital ticket can be replicated. So they want to make sure that it's not by making it unique to that user, such that only that one person can enter with that ticket. But if you're using NFTs, you don't have that problem. You can just sell the ticket and it will exist only once. And only one person is able to own it. But the ticket can be traded. So if you can't go to that concert that you booked the ticket for, you can just sell the ticket on the blockchain using the blockchain transactions. I tell you, this is the future. This is how we're gonna end up selling our tickets to everything, is my prediction. Because I mean, they're just advantages, really. I mean, disadvantage, you have to use the blockchain, but hey, blockchain technology, where are we? 21st century? Hello. I wanna tell you about one last project. Crypto stamps. They are basically real world stamps that you can buy in the post office, but they have an NFT representation on the Ethereum blockchain. So they are the perfect collectible. It's a real world thing and it's also on the blockchain. And when I read about it, I was super surprised that they were released by the Austrian post office. I'm Austrian, by the way, that's why this is so absurd for me. Because Austria is not usually known for digital innovations. Like I thought, the Austrian post office is a company living on the dark side of the moon. But apparently, turns out, if you're living on the moon, you have a better idea of technologies that are gonna moon. I've been in the post office yesterday and asked about those crypto stamps, and they basically told me, yep, we don't have any anymore. They were sold out like instantly. And okay, yeah, I can imagine that. Because they are just the perfect collectible. If only I knew about NFTs a year ago, I would have gotten myself some crypto stamps. Because you were able to buy them in the Austrian post office. Ah, the missed opportunity. Good that I know about NFT now, and good that you learn about NFT right now, such that you don't miss those opportunities. Because let me tell you, those crypto stamps, they are selling for high prices. Because this is digital history. This is Andy from the future here. I have some news. So I have been trying to get my hands on crypto stamps in the past few days, and I actually found a branch of the Austrian post office that still had some on stock because they got another delivery. So of course I got some. I bought myself 28 crypto stamps. Granted, they are second edition, so not quite the digital history as the first edition. Nevertheless, I got myself some crypto stamps. I'm getting way too excited about this. But hey, I have crypto stamps. Did I just spend 200 euros on crypto stamps? Possibly, yeah, definitely. And I thought my grandpa was crazy spending so much money on stamps. But now I get it! Except that I'm getting way more enthusiastic about the digital token than the actual stamp. Those are the 4. Let's have a look at what is inside one of them. And boom! Red! I don't know what that means, but I think it's good. You can use that as an actual stamp. And that is why this is not lost money, right? This investment, even if the digital token is worthless, which it isn't, at least not to me. But even if it was worthless, I still have this thing that I can use as an actual stamp, which is actually worth 7 euros that I paid for it. And with that, I can send a priority A4 letter anywhere in the EU, because that's what the post office charges 7 euros for. So, it's not lost money. Let's check this out. So on each of those stamps, there's a QR code. Scan that QR code. Yellow! I got a yellow honey badger. Look at the yellow honey badger that I got. You wanna have it? You wanna trade? This is ridiculous, but it gives me so much joy. You have no idea. And yeah, we will see. Maybe they will become valuable in the future. And that is also one reason why a lot of people are getting into NFTs. They want to make them profit. Because as usual with collectibles, the higher the demand, the higher the price. So if you were to want to make some money, you would need to get in on those NFTs early before everybody finds out about them. And then when everybody wants to have them, then you can sell it at a much higher price. Of course, none of this is financial advice. I'm not a financial expert. This is just for educational, let's say, entertainment purposes only. Don't make any financial decisions based on what I tell you, or based on what anybody tells you for that matter. You should always inform yourself first. I'm just telling you how it is. There are things being sold for high prices. Let me give you the top 5. 2 Gods Unchained cards were sold for 210 ETH. That's like $60,000. An official Formula 1 NFT was sold for 415.9 ETH. At that time there was $120,000. You can buy actual cars for that. A CryptoKitty was sold for 600 ETH. That was like $170,000. What? And then there was a Decentraland parcel that was sold for a total of 2,800,000 mana, which is the Decentraland currency. And that corresponded to 1,000 ETH, which is like over $200,000 at that time. I mean, that's just crazy. Of course, and that also needs to be said, you can also lose money, obviously, because when the hype is over and nobody wants to buy it anymore, then you're stuck with it. So if you're just in there to retail, then you should be aware of that. Again, none of this is financial advice, and so on and so on and so on. Point is, there is a lot of money in that ecosystem. Usually the earlier you get in, the better for you. But as with altcoins, there are just so many projects that you need to inform yourself before making any decisions. Never invest more than what you're willing to lose. And that is the only financial advice you should take from me. To conclude, non-fungible tokens allow for ownership, transferability, and authenticity of digital assets. Have we mentioned authenticity yet? Basically, since it only exists once, you can't get scammed by somebody trying to sell you a copy. And all of that without a third party that you need to trust, because it's all on the blockchain. It's all trustless. Now, I hope that today I was able to give you an introduction to NFTs. Of course, there is way more to this than I can mention in this video, so get yourself informed if you're at all interested in the topic. I just wanted to give you a quick overview just so you are aware that non-fungible tokens exist and you can make your own educated guess of whether or not they're gonna make it big in the future. With that being said, thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Now, if you excuse me, I have to go buy some NFTs.